Thank everyone also for being here. This is such a nice space. Is it a nice space? I don't know. It is, right? It is. I'm glad it's still here. But I gotta say, I'm old enough that I remember the old Hugo House. And I gotta say, I loved the old Hugo House. It was a funeral home that was turned into a literary arts center. I'm not saying that that's foreshadowing for the literary arts in America necessarily, but it might be. Speaking of foreshadowing and things that are no longer here, Ariel mentioned City Arts Magazine. I was published in City Arts Magazine, and a few months later it went defunct. I'm not going to say it's my fault, but I'm going to read this poem out of City Arts Magazine for you all. And it's a poem I wrote, if I can find it, because I wouldn't have written it had I not grown up in the Midwest. Because, well, I don't know.
Are you sure they published it?
I'm pretty sure. It's in here somewhere, I swear to God. Page 22. Okay, if I can count. All right, I found it. It's called Spirits, okay? And you can take that in the spirit of the funeral home that was the old Hugo House, and let's see if we can maybe, maybe we can raise the spirits of the dead. And it's based on this idea as well. My grandmother, by the way, was a spiritualist. I don't know if you know what that is. But it was a religion that kind of swept America in the late 19th century. Part of the reason maybe was because so many people had died in the Civil War. One of the big people who was into it, and by the way, spiritualists, what do? They do seances to talk with spirits. Mediums are a big part of what they do. My grandmother used to go and visit and have seances at her house. And the big person who really got into it was Abraham Lincoln's widow. Kind of made it into a national movement. She talked to ghosts a lot. Anyway, this poem is based on that. It's because I'm from the Midwest. It's because the main street of my hometown is Lincoln Way. Everything around where I grew up near Chicago, and everything around there, Lincoln Park, is named after Abraham Lincoln. A lot of stuff. Anyhow, so this is called Spirits, and let's try to bring the spirit of Abraham Lincoln back, for Christ's sake. All right. It's kind of a weird poem, I'm sorry. Spirits. The widow Lincoln communed with so many spirits, she had to be committed. To be haunted is to be devoted. To paraphrase the secrets of the dead, you need a medium, a mirror in which you look forward to appearances. Alcohol comes from the Arabic word for makeup. Maybe we have to change our looks if we want communion. We have cocktails because we can't stop mixing. We love entertaining possibilities. What we find intoxicating, we could fall for. What we fall for makes us smart. Look at the German shepherd barking at his reflection, the robin that sees in your pain a blue sky for flying free. Socrates feared poetry, would make people think their delusions could be true. Wile E. Coyote shared his critical point of view. When he painted the mouth of a tunnel, he thought the roadrunner could not run through. Maybe we are innocent when we fall in love. We lose it when we think we know what's going on. Facades are what we put up with when we feel like hiding. The cover-up is how we live with politicians. The unattractive, honest Abe said he'd wear another face if he had one. The vase our profiles make when we face off must contain our thirst. We have to make out if intoxication's what we want. Thanks. All right. I want to show you this because it's a great anthology. It's an anthology of Chicago poetry, City of the Big Shoulders, that I was lucky enough to be published in because I wrote a poem about John Dillinger. And y'all know who John Dillinger is? He was like public enemy number one for a while. Like Johnny Depp played him in a movie, and then kind of became public enemy number one for a while himself. Anyhow, it was published in this, which it was like one of the. It's just, I don't know. When you're from someplace, and then that place recognizes you, it's just a really cool feeling. It's a really, really good feeling. So this is called Dear John Dillinger. Oh, quick question. Does everybody know what a catafalque is?
No.
Oh, it's the platform that you put a coffin on in a funeral home. Sorry, that's the running theme. The old funeral home on here. Okay, so Dear John Dillinger. Do you guys know about John Dillinger?
Yeah.
Like that he had plastic surgery. He had his fingerprints burned off with acid and all sorts of stuff so that he could be in hiding. Did you know all that stuff? Anyway, and James Cagney and like Humphrey Bogart played characters based on him in movies. Pretty cool stuff. Anyway, Dear John Dillinger. We could rearrange our faces, shave our fingerprints, leave our legends carved across the walls that we escaped from. We still wouldn't find ourselves motor mouthing across the silver screen, translated by Warner or MGM. I'm impressed, not by chilly nights you spent in barns, regretting all the hearts you'd broken, the one farm you'd never return to, the fallow fields, clover turning blushing cheeks to sunrise, but by the vanishing act, how you disappeared in the North Woods, just to turn up in Arizona as an alias, a carnival mask, bullets for teeth, and already gone. If everyone believes you're someone else, maybe you are Humphrey Bogart. Maybe you're James Cagney, born shouting insults at the cops. Dear John, I'd rather not think the flashbulbs powder pop exposed to the concrete as your catafalque. I'd rather believe you burned those mortgages in the banks, paid off so many failing farms, you became the myth. Things might be easier then. I could pack my bags, believe around the corner was a place, a station where I could be another face. Thank you. And so my birthday's coming up. Yeah, you can find the registry on Facebook. It's January 22nd, a day, look, this is the list of people that I share my birthday with. The actress who was in The Exorcist, is it Linda Gray? Is that her name?
Blair.
Linda Blair. Yeah, Linda Blair, like spinning her head all around, was one. Like every single one, by the way, there's something awful that happened with them. Another is Sam Cooke. Y'all know Sam Cooke, who was murdered down in L.A. Another was D.W. Griffith. Y'all know D.W. Griffith? Like, yeah, he was a filmmaker. Like, look, I mean, like, without D.W. Griffith, there's like so many different kinds of like camera angles and other like shots and films that we wouldn't have. Also, kind of a racist, right? Like, not necessarily a good person. Made The Birth of a Nation, which many of you probably seen, but also Lord Byron shares my birthday, and I love Lord Byron for a lot of reasons. I mean, like, he actually kind of put the "by" in Byron, for one, but there's a lot of other reasons as well. This poem's called Vampires, and Lord Byron was actually, I don't know if you know this, but like, Lord Byron was the model for the first novel about a vampire. And Bram Stoker like read that novel and then wrote Dracula later. So in some ways, Lord Byron was the model for Count Dracula, which is sort of interesting. And he kind of had a sort of a vampiric way about him. I think he like extracted the souls out of people and kind of left them a hollow shell afterwards. Like one of his lovers said that he was mad, bad, and dangerous to know. And he also he had to leave England because the things he liked to do tended to be illegal in the days of King George III, who was the king at the time. But he also idolized the United States, and he thought like that the United States was like the great hope of the world, and others as well. Anyway, he also wrote a poem about a vampire, and the epigraph comes from that. And this is from Lord Byron, and he says this: "Thy victims, ere they yet expire, shall know the demon for their sire." And so this is called Vampires. Maybe we were. Oh, by the way, it's sort of set out in forks at the beginning. That's what triggered it all. So maybe we were sired by the lumber mill, brought up to suck life from oyster shells, to cross-cut cedar trees and count the rings. Imagine the scene from 300 years before Washington crossed the Delaware. So many people have died since then. We must believe that some still walk. Take my recent ex, who couldn't get off until I wore a turtleneck. Take my hometown developers, who imagined the Hellenistic confines of the Carnegie Library reborn as a parking lot. I remember watching Frankenstein in the Art Deco theater whenever I visit the ATM where it used to stand. What's invisible needs us to live. Lord Byron dared his friends to write, knowing deadlines brought creatures to life. What if George Washington had been raised by wolves? What if we must be open to change? Chickens have eyes that regenerate their lenses once you remove their lenses. The most immortal jellyfish tastes like saffron if it's braised in saffron. Maybe we have poor taste because being offensive is the best defense. Maybe Lord Byron figured vampires as fathers because he found his father draining. Washington cured the common cold with leeches. Egyptians fought infection with maggots. The survivors of Lord Byron preserved his corpse in rum, so we can say the spirit saved his heart. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop there if that's okay. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate this whole thing, and thank you, Aria. Thank you.